the Dynasty market is finally moving a ton, and so there are players that we can actually go buy low, in our opinion, that we think are going to go up in value here very soon. So these are players you should target in your Dynasty trades. You should go to your league owners and say, hey, are you willing to trade this player? Let's talk about this player. I want this player on my roster, because whether you're contending, rebuilding, reloading, whatever, we think these players could be good on your Dynasty rosters, and you should pursue them right now. So let's talk through the first one here. Wow, I know this one is Travis Hunter.
Wow.
Travis Hunter did comment on a domain live stream on subscribers only mode here this year, and so we do know that he's subscribed. Shout out Travis Hunter. But the real reason that we're telling you to buy Travis Hunter is because obviously there were really two main questions with Travis Hunter. The first question obviously was, will he play that much offense? That's the most important one, right? If he doesn't play offense, he's not going to be important to us in fantasy or Dynasty. The second question is, if he does play offense, how are they going to line him up next to BTJ? Because when you're looking at his alignment in college, I mean, he was lined up outside 94.1% of the time at Colorado. They literally exclusively used him outside. And you'll notice that that is also pretty much how they exclusively use Brian Thomas Jr. in Jacksonville. And so it's, will he play on offense? How much? And then if he does, where is he lining up in relation to Brian Thomas Jr.? Well, something awesome has happened.
Yes.
Very, very good for us. Very good for you. Very good for bag holders. And very good for people who take advantage and buy now. Travis Hunter's playing the slot. Travis Hunter, I mean, if you look at his reception perception from before the draft, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at this. 92nd percentile against man. 97th percentile against zone and press coverage. I mean, his separation is absolutely elite. You've heard, reports out of camp as well that kind of support this. Hey, Travis Hunter is absolutely cooking DBs in joint practices right now. And while he has played some on the defensive side of the ball, we mentioned the depth chart and the fact that he was listed as a second-string cornerback, not a first-string cornerback, and the fact that he's pretty much playing all the reps with the starters when the offenses have been in the preseason. It looks like Travis Hunter is going to be on the field as a slot wide receiver. He's one of the best route-running prospects we've ever seen. He's one of the most athletic prospects we've ever seen. He subscribes to the channel. We're freaking out about Travis Hunter. And here's the thing, Travis Hunter's value is so weird. When you're looking at it in startups, a lot of times Travis Hunter will go mid-third. But the other night we saw Travis Hunter go the 4-1, the 3-4 turn. I don't know. If Travis Hunter is playing offense, I have zero doubt he's going to be ranked higher than this next year. Zero. I am 100% sure. Travis Hunter is, even if he gets hurt, he's going to maintain his value. It's Travis Hunter. Has there ever been a more internet football celebrity than Travis Hunter? I don't think there has. Between the Colorado stuff and the fact that he, does his own streams and he's gay into gaming and stuff like that, and the fact that he's, subscribed to the channel, I don't know that there has been. He is online in a very good way, and all of us who are also online are going to let that reflect in his value year over year. And so right now, Travis Hunter, again, he's next to T. Higgins. Both of them are twos. I think they're both fine options, but I could see you making a case for Travis Hunter, especially if you don't believe T's going to stay healthy this year. Emeka Egbuka is next to him. As much as I love Emeka Egbuka, I love Emeka Egbuka. I think Travis Hunter does have a higher ceiling than Emeka Egbuka does. But some of the other guys here, like Chase Brown, you could move for Travis Hunter. I would do that in a heartbeat. Kyler Murray has moved back up boards a little bit here, and you can move him for Travis Hunter, and I would do that in a heartbeat. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this range as well. A lot of them I would consider moving for Travis Hunter as well. Breece Hall's in this range. I like Travis Hunter there. Rome Odunze obviously has a higher ceiling, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. I think Travis Hunter is a shoo-in to go up in value this next year. The fact that he is playing the slot in Jacksonville is very good news for us. And so if you can go to your league owner and you can get Travis Hunter, yes, in non-IDP leagues, at this point, we've received only positive news about his prospects for scoring fantasy football points. And because of that, I'm willing to now buy into one of the most talented players of our generation.
So Terry McLaurin, if you remember a couple of videos back, we actually talked about Courtland Sutton specifically and how, hey, what are we doing having such a significant value gap between Sutton and a guy like Terry McLaurin, where there's situationally they're looking at both pretty positive situations. They're both the number ones in their respective offenses, and the only competition they respectively brought into their offenses were Deebo Samuel in Washington and Evan Ingram in Denver. So as far as production outlook is this season for both of these guys, it's pretty similar. And when you look historically at the amount of target volume that Terry McLaurin consistently gets on an annual basis, it's about 110 to 120 targets. He never really gets much more than that. And again, last year was no exception in terms of his target opportunity, but his touchdowns went up like crazy, right? So if we were to go out this season and say like, hey, Terry McLaurin is going to match exactly what he did last season and be a wide receiver one again, I don't think we'd go that far. In fact, Terry McLaurin, when you're looking at his efficiency metrics, he's one of the biggest regression candidates in terms of production this season. That being said, Terry McLaurin has consistently been a wide receiver too, like his entire career. And when you're looking at his price right now, we know why his value's fallen, and it's because of the contract disputes in Washington right now. He's been holding out all of training camp, been trying to get an extension that's going to be kind of a tier down, a step down from like what the top guys are getting paid, but he still wants to get paid more than what he's currently getting. And the Courtland Sutton extension is probably around what he's looking for, I would say, at this point. So with Terry McLaurin, the reason I want to mention him now, even though we think that like, hey, this season, is he going to match exactly what he did last year? I don't really know. But what I do know is he's now at a very palatable price. Before, a couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about, hey, the gap between Courtland Sutton and Terry McLaurin is way too large, that's now closed. We're not there anymore because McLaurin has essentially lost a full round of value at least because of these contract disputes. I mean, right now he's value equivalent to right there by Courtland Sutton, Luther Burden, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill. He's in the tier where he belongs. And honestly, he's in one of the best situations that you could think of for a guy, again, who stays consistently healthy. Mike Evans has had injury issues throughout his entire career, or at least on the latter half of his career, and you have the new competition in Emeka Egbuka heading into this season. That's a great situation, but I don't think anyone's going to say that's a safer situation than what Terry McLaurin's dealing with Jaden Daniels in Washington. It's really McLaurin and Sutton, best situations there. Tyreek Hill, tons of questions in Miami. They're getting worked, absolutely worked in training camp and joint practices. They are candidates to potentially like really, really disappoint this season, and Mike McDaniel might be on the hot seat. You've got guys like TJ Hawkinson, who's in a crowded room as a tight end. You've got Chris Olave in a terrible offense. DJ Moore, who's looking to potentially be taken over by Rome Odunze as a top option there. Oh, and by the way, his reception perception, wildly inefficient, not good at all. So with Terry at this point, I mean, for a guy that used to be value equivalent to DK Metcalf, that tier of like your QBs like Goff and Dak Prescott, Zay Flowers, George Kittle, Jalen Waddle, he's no longer in that conversation. So again, when we talk about Dynasty Fantasy Football, it's like our job. We talk about playing the market, right? So many people have player takes. They have, you know, their personal opinion, their personal vibes on a guy and what they think they're going to do this year. We can tell you analytically what we think Terry McLaurin's production outlook is this season, and at price at this point, it doesn't really matter anymore because the name of the game as a contender is getting cheap, productive veterans to plug into your flex spots. And when Terry McLaurin was not priced that way, he was not a buy. Now he is because he's going to be value equivalent to these guys like Devontae Adams, who's a wide receiver too in his offense, and Matt Stafford is banged up. He's back practicing actually, but again, this is a tier down, right? We're now in that we're now in the tier below at wide receiver where Terry McLaurin should be, and it's a situation that is much more ideal than a lot of the guys in this range, and I'm willing to take a shot there.
We should probably touch the Chiefs situation here real quick and talk about Xavier Worthy. And you might say, okay, you said Rashee Rice is a buy. Yeah, he is. Okay, so Xavier Worthy is a buy too? Yeah, he is. How can both of these things be true at the same time? Rashee Rice is a buy in Dynasty in particular because this year doesn't look particularly fantastic for Rashee Rice, especially given the fact they came out and they tried to suspend him 10 games, which makes me think he's going to get at least 6. It's not going to be great, especially for like your contending teams missing 6 games, especially if it happens in the middle of the season. That's not great. It's honestly not great. But he is still a great dynasty asset to own when we play in 3-year windows. And obviously, Rashee Rice this year, you know, he could continue to lose value. He's going to be a hold/buy at this point in time. Xavier Worthy, however, should also be moving up rankings because of the potential impact he could have from a production standpoint this year. Because if Rashee Rice doesn't play in the middle of the season, this opens up opportunity for Xavier Worthy to do what he did at the end of last year. And actually, he was pretty productive at the end of last year when you look at his last 3 or 4 games. And in the playoffs, he was also very good. And so what I know from Xavier Worthy is that he's not going to do nothing. He's going to do something even when Rashee Rice is on the field. But when Rashee Rice is off the field, he does have opportunity for high target volume. And when that happens, he's going to go up in price and he's going to go up in value. Now, the main thing about Xavier Worthy's value at the moment is that it's actually not going up. In fact, it's pretty much stagnated / it's going down at the moment. And there's a little bit of a disconnect here for me. Like if you're getting Xavier Worthy in your dynasty leagues at the 6-1, we saw in a sleeper league we just drafted, a real money league that was drafted on our channel. That's pretty good value because at some point this season, Xavier Worthy is going to be more expensive than that because he's playing on one of the best offenses in the NFL with the best quarterback in the NFL, and he could be the potential wide receiver one there for a good portion of this season.
And that's the biggest point there is at some point this year, Rashee Rice is going to miss probably a significant amount of time, whether it's, again, 2, 4, 6 weeks, doesn't really matter. At that point, effectively, Xavier Worthy will be the number one wide receiver on the depth chart, and that's an automatic value win immediately.
And so, again, with Xavier Worthy, I mean, he is, in my opinion, going to have a stretch this year where he is going to be more valuable than he is now. And so at the very least, this is a market play, right? It's a buy low because he is going to go up in value, but it could just be a market play. If you don't actually believe in Xavier Worthy, you don't think he's going to do this long term, you could still buy now, sell later, and still make a profit on your dynasty team in terms of value. And so at the very least, it's a market play. If you believe in Xavier Worthy, maybe you think that he comes in, he actually earns the targets, he gets the production, he gets his connection with Patrick Mahomes, and he keeps it. It's possible. I'm not going to rule it out. I've seen crazier things happen than a guy in Rashee Rice who has an injury and legal issues kind of phase out and not be the guy he was before. We only saw the Rashee Rice that we saw for 2-3 games, right? 2.5 games, I think. So keep in mind, like we're operating under this assumption that Rashee Rice is this proven elite receiver that always has done it. And actually, in reality, while he was solid his rookie season, his second year, which is what we base his value off of, he only did it for 2 games. And I still think he's going to come back and do it. That's why I think Rashee Rice is a buy. But if you don't, this is your guy. Xavier Worthy would be the guy. And again, playing on one of the top offenses in the league, he's definitely going to gain value this year. And we can tell you exactly who we think you should buy for your dynasty team. Right now is a great time. We do all of these ourselves. We can give you a second opinion when you get a team blueprint. Again, we're going to give you players that you should trade away on your team and the players you should target. So we'll give you trade ideas and guys to go target on your dynasty fantasy football team. You get one of those for free with the annual Motherflocker tier over on flockfantasy.com/domain. Basically, you join the site for a year. You join the domain community for a year. You get the Discord, our dynasty rankings, all of our dynasty tools. You're going to get that blueprint, and you're going to get a brand new blueprint every single month for that team with our Infinite Blueprint program. Big announcement coming on that later this week, so you can check it out at flockfantasy.com/domain. Like I said, code domain when you create your account, and you do the annual Motherflocker tier, and we're going to get a free blueprint where Nathan and I will look at your team. We'll go back and forth with you afterwards, and we'll make sure that your dynasty team is on the right track and you're buying the right players on your dynasty rosters this season. The next guy is actually losing value, and he really shouldn't be losing value at the moment.
So, look, this is something that we have talked about extensively in a lot of strategy videos. Really heading into training camp, we try to intentionally do this every single year. The name of the game, obviously, is going to keep your head above the waves. No news a lot of times can be good news. And for a guy like Caleb Williams, where the situation has not changed, the outlook really hasn't changed, the head coach situation and the play calling situation is great, and he's got all the weapons around him that he needs to be successful. This is one of those situations when you hear negative news about a guy who is learning a new competent offense in the NFL for the first time, is going to have some wrinkles in training camp. That's what training camp's for. That's why they don't just jump into the regular season and just wing it. I hope Caleb Williams throws interceptions in training camp. I really do. Because he can get it out of his system. He can work on learning this new, very complicated system with Ben Johnson. And Ben Johnson, if we've learned anything, knows how to play to the strengths of the quarterback that he's playing with. I don't think, like, at this point, everyone has come to respect Jared Goff at the very least. I like Jared Goff a lot. I think he's a very good quarterback when he's not under pressure. Jared Goff's reputation heading into the Detroit Lions era of his career was not a popular quarterback. He was viewed essentially as a bust and was basically cast aside by the LA Rams, said, "You're nothing," right? He was included on top of 2 first-round picks to go get Matt Stafford, and lo and behold, Ben Johnson comes in, plays to his strengths, and he ends up essentially revitalizing his career. So, again, I'm not saying that Caleb Williams is going to do what Jared Goff has done, because Jared Goff is a certified very good quarterback. Caleb Williams' athletic ability and what he was able to demonstrate last season in an offense that was not an offense, period, was impressive enough for us to at least merit giving him a little bit of a break during training camp. This, in our opinion, is something that is really just noise. I don't know what you guys expected heading into training camp, if you were, or I do know what you guys expected. You expected too much, but like, did we really expect Caleb Williams to come into camp and just start clicking on all cylinders and just flinging the ball all over the field and being like the next MVP candidate for 2025? I personally didn't. And again, all this negative news could mean nothing if it wasn't impacting his value whatsoever. We'd be like, okay, pretty neutral about Caleb Williams, because ultimately nothing about his situation has changed. His head coaching outlook and the offensive outlook is just as positive as it was in the early offseason. The only thing that we've seen from whenever it was announced that Ben Johnson was going to be a Bear to now is we've seen him practice on the field and we've seen him make mistakes. Do we ever freak out when Patrick Mahomes throws interceptions in training camp? It happens. Like, again, I don't want to like go crazy here and be like Caleb Williams is guaranteed to be amazing heading into this season. Maybe he starts slow. Maybe he has a stretch during the season where he doesn't play well. Heck, maybe Caleb Williams just as a prospect was better than what he ended up actually being at the NFL level. I personally don't really care, because we're going to head into the season and he's going to have just as much volume as we expected. He's going to pass the frick out of the ball and get it to DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, potentially Colson Leveland and Luther Burden as well. And with Caleb Williams' value falling to literally the third round right now, when he was a mid-second round pick, maybe early second, a lot of times is what we were seeing in the earlier offseason, this is something that you have to capitalize on. If you can get Caleb Williams at a discount right now, which is something that you were it wasn't easy to do until literally right now, you may as well go ahead and capitalize, because again, if Caleb Williams is going to lose value in the best situation that he has ever been in, sign me up to go get a little bit of Caleb Williams shares. And we're putting our money where our mouth's at here. We just made a trade a couple of weeks ago as this news was coming out. Oh, and lo and behold, if you're freaking out about his negatives in training camp, why are you not freaking out the other way when he just had a really, really good second game in preseason? So again, a lot of it you just got to take with a grain of salt. And this is one where I think we need to push back a little bit and say, hey, like we're going to double down on the Caleb Williams stuff. And just tell you, like, we need to chill out a little bit with his value. Don't let him fall as much. And if you can get him at a significant discount, go ahead and do that. Again, it's something that we are quite literally doing. The league that we co-manage, the team that we co-manage, we just went and bought him for a price that I don't think we would have been able to get him for a couple months ago.
All right, this is a situational value play here with Josh Downs, because Josh Downs has actually lost quite a bit of dynasty value here in the last couple of days because of the hamstring injury. Now, there are kind of two things to this that I want to say. One, it's expected that he's available for week 1. But number 2, just before we recorded this video, Daniel Jones was named the starter in Indianapolis. And let me tell you, this is very good news for Josh Downs. If you want to know why this is good news for Josh Downs, see Malik Neighbors last year when he was playing with Daniel Jones. Had Anthony Richardson been named the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, yes, Josh Downs I still think would have been somebody that would produce. But now, I do think that Josh Downs has his best range of outcomes for this year. So with that being said, I'm pretty sure you could confidently send a trade offer for Josh Downs to the Josh Downs manager in your league, and they might just be altogether valuing him lower in their head because of the injury concern, because of the situation in Indianapolis, and you might actually be able to get him for a pretty cheap price. Now, Josh Downs, we've obviously talked about a lot on the show, not so much as a buy this offseason, even though we've said and we've recommended, hey, Josh Downs is a pretty good buy, especially for rebuild and reloading teams. But we've talked about his reception perception many times, and each of the first couple of years that he's played in the NFL in 2024, looking at his reception perception, 90th, 92nd, and 82nd percentile route running. Elite. Josh Downs is elite in that aspect. He's an elite route runner. He's elite at getting separation. He's elite at beating zone coverage. And so we know that despite the bad situation, Josh Downs is a good receiver. But there's a combination of things right now driving his value down that have absolutely nothing to do with the talent that Josh Downs is and the production that he could put on the field this year, and that's when you pounce. You pounce because people are down on him because of the hamstring. Again, he should not see in a dynasty league because of a 3-week injury. He should not see a value dip. But if you look at his keep trade cut right now, there is a value dip. Once the hamstring was announced, he went from wide receiver 34 to wide receiver 40 because of a 3 to 4 week injury. if not 2 to 3. He's expected to be ready for week 1. And even if he's not, darn, what kind of teams are you buying him on? Rebuilds, reloads, easy. And I think you can get him cheap because contending rosters that have Josh Downs right now are going to be looking to offload him for somebody who can produce early in the season, and they might just sell at a discount. We are getting to the point where contending teams will do some really stupid things with their dynasty assets to win a championship. I'm all for winning championships. But right now, Josh Downs and his value, I think he can be productive this year. If it's after week 2, it's after week 2. I think he can be productive this year, but I like his long-term outlook. The fact the Colts are starting Daniel Jones means that he can be productive this year, and it means the Colts are going to have a top 5 draft pick next year, and so the Colts are going to be drafting a QB once they get a new QB. You're going to see Josh Downs go from wide receiver 40 to wide receiver 25 next year. Book it.
So David Montgomery is a guy that we've been very high on heading into the redraft season. Talked about him quite a bit on DFF and how much we like his price. And again, by default, you just kind of have to follow your own logic. And if you're high on a guy and his production upside heading into the season in terms of redraft, the context of redraft, then why are we not high on David Montgomery at price right now in Dynasty when he's actually going at a much cheaper price? I mean, you're talking about in redraft, he's a mid-6th round pick. And Monty is a 10th round pick, according to the most recent Dynasty draft that we just watched on a live stream on Monday. And you saw a guy like Zach Charbonnet go multiple rounds, like 2 rounds ahead of David Montgomery. That's kind of insane. Honestly, for a guy in a situation in Seattle where, again, we like Zach Charbonnet, the talent. We think that he's going to get more looks and more opportunities this season. If you were to tell me that Zach Charbonnet is going to get the same amount of usage consistently that Monty is alongside Jahmyr Gibbs and what is a better offense in Detroit, I'd be like, yeah, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. The production upside that David Montgomery offers as a running back 2 in his own offense is better than a lot of running back 1s across the league. Again, I've walked through these numbers plenty of times, but before that injury went down, David Montgomery averaged over 16 points per game, while Jahmyr Gibbs himself was averaging 18.5. I think at this point we're kind of trying to overthink the situation in Detroit a little bit too much, where we're like, okay, since Ben Johnson's no longer there, the utilization of all these different assets is going to flip-flop, it's going to change, it's going to look a lot different than it has in years past. Or maybe they just do the same thing in the backfield that they've been doing for the last 3 years before Jahmyr Gibbs was even there with Swift and Jamal Williams, and it's worked, and it's worked well. So this season, if David Montgomery doesn't average 16 plus points per game again when he's fully healthy on the field, then and he regresses, bummer. He's a running back 2 that averages 14 points per game, 13 points per game. Sure, 13 points per game is a running back 2. That's a flex option. Easy, no problem. Again, according to Keep Trade Cut, value equivalent to Zach Charbonnet, we would easily make that move, easily make that pivot. You could potentially get a plus on top with some of the guys being priced around him. DeAndre Swift going well above David Montgomery right now. I would rather have David Montgomery personally. And then a lot of other guys that, again, just have very questionable situations. I mean, some of these guys that are in like ridiculous committees like Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne are not far behind David Montgomery either. So go ahead and get him at a discount. Trey Harris, go give away Trey Harris and go get Montgomery if you're a contending team. That's an easy take. So we're pretty big on Monty this season.
So again, we are glad that the Dynasty market is changing somewhat now because it can allow us to play the market. That's what we love to do best. But these are buy lows. Not all of our buys are always buy lows, but a lot of these guys, and you might say, oh, well, nobody in my league is selling this person low. Okay, well, then I'm not talking to you. That's fine. And the thing is, really the premise of this video is see if you can buy them low. And if you can, it might be a good idea to do it. Make sure you drop a like on the video and make sure you subscribe if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. We're going to be bringing you Dynasty content now, next week, the week after that, all year, not stopping. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.